Okay. Yeah, thank you very much. Unfortunately, I cannot be in Portland. I wish I was. I'm talking to you from Vienna, Austria today. So maybe a short introduction. My name is Bernhard. I'm a managing partner at Knowledge Management Associates. I've been a very active member of the MediaWiki and especially the semantic MediaWiki community. And we provide knowledge management, consulting, training, and research. And with KnowledgeWiki, we have an open source stack built on semantic MediaWiki and several other extensions. And I'm also a partner of MyWikis Europe. So if you need European wiki hosting, talk to Jeffrey, who is, I think, with you today. We have a joint venture here in Europe. Okay, so I would like to talk. I would like to present actually a new extension, a knowledge graph extension. But before that, we actually have to define a little bit what is a knowledge graph. We have talked about a little bit before in the previous presentations, and yeah, I'm going to give you a short outlook. So a knowledge graph, the trivial definition is it is a buzzword made popular by Google. There is this blog post introducing the knowledge graph, linking things, not strings, right, on the internet. So the trivial definition is you have an ontology, for example, something like this. An actress is a woman. A woman is a subclass of a person. A person has a birth date. So an actress must have a birth date, even if we don't know her birth date. We can infer that from this ontology, right? And MediaWiki has data pages. For example, Hedi Lamar, Romy Schneider, Christiane Hörbiger, Paula Wessely. They all are actresses that were born in Vienna, but MediaWiki cannot really handle this besides doing the category approach. So there's a category actresses from Vienna, and there you have a list. But all of this ontology part is not available in MediaWiki per se. A more scientific definition is that a knowledge graph mainly describes real-world entities, okay, and their interrelations organized in a graph. It defines possible classes and relations of entities in a schema. So the real-world entities are the wiki pages. The classes are the categories in MediaWiki, and this relationship of entities, for this you need properties, and properties are not available in MediaWiki. You have some other extensions that make this available. That allows for potentially interrelating arbitrary entities. Okay, this is linking of wiki pages, covering various topical domains. So there you have a knowledge graph definition from science. So every knowledge graph is a kind of a knowledge base, a kind of a database of facts. Regular databases like that don't have semantic technology behind them, they connect entities with weak semantic relationships that is kind of emulated by primary and foreign keys in the database. In a knowledge graph, the relationships can be used to query and traverse links for knowledge discovery. I'm going to show you a simple example in a second. And they often contain large volumes of factual information with less formal semantics than ontologies, maybe in the early semantic web days, so knowledge base is kind of fact orientated, and the ontology is more schema orientated. And you have also talked about large language models. So a language model is not a knowledge model, as you have already mentioned. But they're quite similar regarding their graph structure. Large language models are stored in a kind of a vector database, but they use statistic probabilities to find the right term, the right next term, rather than semantics. And the current strand of research is actually the combination of those two. So I think this is going to be very interesting on how to provide semantics to a large language model, or also derive semantics with a large language model from textual information. Okay, so what is the power of knowledge graphs? Why are they so important? Well, okay, they present knowledge in a machine-readable format in form of triples, subject, predicate, and object, and we have a data format for that, RDF, W3C standard. This forms a network of nodes and edges that are displayed like this, and a very basic example could look like this. We have data about Hedy Lamarr, who is an actor. An actor is a subclass of an artist. An actor is, Hedy Lamarr is born in Vienna, and we know from the node Vienna that is located in Austria. So what for us humans who can read this English diagram looks very obvious. The interesting thing is, if you query for Austrian artists, so the information Austria and the information artist is not in any way written on the article of Hedy Lamarr, you can get the result Hedy Lamarr even when it's not tagged on her page. So this is basically the real power of knowledge graphs, that you can traverse here and get results even if it is not explicitly stated here. Okay, so how do you do this in MediaWiki? There is a page on MediaWiki.org. I initiated this page. It is about managing data in MediaWiki, and basically you have currently 4 options. In MediaWiki itself, you basically only have namespaces, subpages. You have categories and subcategories for creating structure in your wiki. This is why Wikidata that was mentioned, and also other projects like DBpedia exists that try to extract structured data from Wikipedia, or try to provide data to Wikipedia. I'd like to, you can look up this article. It's quite interesting, interesting comparison. I just want to highlight some of the aspects in regarding to a knowledge graph. Semantic MediaWiki, and this should be your key takeaway, is not something, it's the oldest of those extensions, but it's not in any way obsolete or superseded by the others. It still has a vibrant community, and it has still very interesting use cases. Regarding storage of data, all 4 of those options use the basic MediaWiki database. Only those 2 here have additional storage options, like was just mentioned, BlazeGraph. Semantic MediaWiki offers connectors to several other triple stores, including BlazeGraph and also to Elasticsearch. The properties are very flexible in Semantic MediaWiki. In Wikibase, they have to be defined before the usage and then are unchangeable, as far as I know. In Cargo, there's not really properties, but tables and table fields, so that this is more the relational database approach. And this new extension is called Visual Data, and you can define properties through JSON schema, which is an interesting approach. For querying, this is actually one of the main benefits of Semantic MediaWiki versus Wikibase. In Wikibase, you cannot query your own data within MediaWiki. So you have to use your API or the triple store, that's the Sparkle endpoint. In all other extensions, there's a possibility in your own wiki page to query your own knowledge graph, and this is very important in use cases that, for example, Rich showed earlier on. So you don't want always to have to go to the Sparkle endpoint. Regarding linking data, well, you need something like RDF, I would argue, for a knowledge graph. And also, I will show you a short example of how to import other ontologies and reuse other ontologies. In Wikibase, there is the advantage that it's used for Wikidata, so you can reuse Wikidata ontology more easily, of course. So these tools, I would say, qualify for software solutions that power a knowledge graph, a manually curated knowledge graph. These 2, I think, would need some kind of RDF representation, or maybe even JSON LD could be something that would qualify them for KnowledgeGraph. Okay, so you have heard about several Wikibase use cases. Wikibase is a great software, basically written or initiated by the same people that initiated Semantic MediaWiki. But there are several use cases, I guess, where Semantic MediaWiki is the better choice. There are others. We have just seen some that are quite interesting, where Wikibase is an excellent choice, but especially if you don't want to cover the knowledge of the world, but maybe your own knowledge in your own organization, for example, or for your own use case, then you should consider Semantic MediaWiki, or at least compare them for your use case. Okay, so what is Semantic MediaWiki? It's an open source project, so you're very welcome to join us and participate. I like this term. It's kind of the Swiss Army knife for data and semantics. Compared to other semantic web solutions, it can do a lot of things, maybe not everything perfectly or as perfect as maybe specialized tools like in a Swiss Army knife, but you can accomplish a lot with it. It is built on the MediaWiki ecosystem, which we all know, and it can be used for much more than just wikis. Okay, so how does it work? If you build your own knowledge base, you start with something with pages. For example, here the page can have some properties, and you can pretty much invent how you name your properties in number of inhabitants located in coordinates, Wikidata ID, whatever you want to have in your knowledge base. These properties can have various data types: page, text, number, date. Interesting, in Semantic MediaWiki, you can change those data types later, which is very handy. You often start out with text, for example, and then later on you realize, oh, I don't want to have text in the country field. I want to really have wiki pages for the country. So you just declare it as type page, and then you can click on it, and you have your own pages for the countries. External identifier is an interesting data type because it can link to external resources like Wikidata IDs. You can reuse external vocabularies. For example, you can say my property coordinates is imported from schema.geo, and in the RDF representation, it will then show as schema.geo, and others who do not know what your coordinates might be can then have it easier to connect to your coordinate, to your property. A page usually should only be put into one category, in contrast to regular MediaWiki usage, because you have this method of handling data. And it's also category pages should reuse vocabulary. So you can say, okay, with this declaration, my category city is it is imported from schema city. Then also the category gets this schema.org annotation. If you want to use external vocabularies, I've actually done a talk about this in more detail in one of the last SMW cons. So you basically just have a page MediaWiki SMW import schema, and then you can define your vocabulary, where it comes from, and you just would have this type declaration here just in a regular wiki page. Very easy to do. And instead of doing local data type declaration, you just use something like it is imported from schema geo on this property page of your property coordinates, instead of the usual set has data type or has type geographic coordinates. So that's pretty simple to do, actually. Also important is linking to external identifiers. We talked about Wikidata and Wikidata IDs a little bit. So you basically define a property, you call it Wikidata ID, you say it's of type external identifier, and you have then this external identifier URI, where you have this $sign where then the value comes, and then you can link directly to Q numbers of Wikidata, or to ORCID numbers, or to German National Authority files, or whatever you other external identifiers you want to link to. If you want to know more about how this is set up, I've written a paper about this from my experiences with the Vienna History Wiki. So if you want to more in-depth information, how we did it there and how we incorporated the schema.org vocabulary, you can look it up. Okay, so now to the knowledge graph extension. Well, of course, we're not the first ones to try, but what it is basically about visualization of a knowledge graph. You can see an example here that is not related to MediaWiki at all. It's a very nice website where you can put in a page name of a Wikipedia page, and it will then display you actually not a knowledge graph, but just the visual representation of pages linking to each other. So here you have the page MediaWiki of the English Wikipedia, and you can see what is interlinked here. And here you have the example of Portland, Oregon. So you might find some interesting other Wikipedia articles there. So, but this is not what the knowledge graph extension is about, but this is the main idea. You want to have a kind of a visual representation of your knowledge graph. So we were not the first ones to try this. There have been several attempts, actually. This is an archive extension on MediaWiki.org. You can find all of those. Semantic graph extension is unmaintained since more than 10 years. It requires semantic MediaWiki, so that was really the idea also. But it's unmaintained. There was the extension called Wiki, also unmaintained since around 2017. Also requires semantic MediaWiki, and it can use the title icons. That's also a nice feature here. You can just see an example of that, but it's also unmaintained. Another unmaintained extension, also since 2017, unmaintained, is semantic MediaWiki graph. That has a very nice interface. It has a special page, but no parser function, so you really have to go to the special page. It requires semantic MediaWiki, and then you see here your knowledge graph. So that was a very nice extension, unfortunately also abandoned. This one is interesting because it is actively maintained. It's not semantic. It doesn't need to use semantic MediaWiki. So if you don't have semantic MediaWiki, don't want to use it, check out the extension network. But it doesn't show a knowledge graph per se. It just really shows the links between the pages. So quite similar to this external feature, the external URL that I've showed you. This basically shows what pages in your MediaWiki link to other pages, not more. So no semantic here, but a nice extension that is maintained. There's another extension that was presented, I think, 2 years ago. It's called Interactive Semantic Graph. It's interesting. It's marked as experimental. It is. We've tried it. It's not a ready-to-use extension, so it requires not only semantic MediaWiki, but it is part of the Open Semantic Lab, which is a project of a Fraunhofer Institute. So I recommend to check out this SMWCon presentations about this. It's very interesting, this Open Semantic Lab approach. But it's not something that you can just, if you only want this visualization part, it's not so easy to grab. So this is why we developed or are in the process of developing a new extension called Knowledge Graph that will be maintained. It will require semantic MediaWiki because we want to have it as a real knowledge graph extension, actually as a more sophisticated network extension, if you will. It has a special page and also a parser function. It is highly configurable, created by Thomas for KMA, and it's inspired by the interactive semantic graph extension I just mentioned. So thanks to Simon for doing this, but Thomas, I think, has mostly rewritten the extension. There is a extension page already where you can look into some details. So what does it look like? There's a special page. It's called Knowledge Graph Designer, where you can click on Add Node. And then you have three options, basically. Here we say okay, I want to add an article. You have auto-completion here, and you select Vienna. Then it will show you what properties it could find on this page, and you click on Done, and then the first visualization of your knowledge graph will be there. This is just a single page, but you can add more nodes on a page-by-page basis. You can click on a node with the right mouse button, and then you can open the article, and you can jump from your knowledge graph always to your wiki article. There are two other options here. One is, I want to show you first also the other two options here. You can also just start typing a category name, and it will then autocomplete on the categories, and all of the articles in this category will be then added. Or by properties, which is interesting. I'm selecting here the property country. An interesting approach is to select the property modification date that is there in Semantic MediaWiki. That will basically show you, your latest additions so the most recent edits actually in your knowledge graph. But here I'm selecting the property country, and it will also show you what nodes will be imported, and then click on Done, and then you can see a much larger knowledge graph already. And you can also visually see that this is partly German, I'm sorry, that Rome and Venice here are two cities both in Italy, and Vienna and Linz are two cities in Austria. There's this similarity here. And you can navigate also to the other cities from this visualization. There are two more buttons. Reset is obvious, but the toggle configuration, that would show you some configuration options for this visualization, where you can change, border width and sizes and colors and things like that. And you have an export graph button that just does a very simple thing. It copies something to your clipboard. It copies basically the parser function with all the things that you can see, so that you can reuse it on your own wiki page. If you say, I have just compiled something I want to use on a wiki page to show people, then you can just do that. Yes, and of course there's the knowledge graph parser function that is actually the most important thing, I would say, because with this you can use it on individual wiki pages. You can display parts of your knowledge graph, and there are several options. You can here you have the nodes. You can select which properties you want. You don't always want all properties to show. Maybe you want only the country property shown or something like that. There's a depth parameter. You can decide if you want to show the type of the property or not. There are some graph options and things like that. Also, the graph options, that's interesting because we have the option to put in the MediaWiki namespace several different configurations. So you can have your default knowledge graph options, but you can also say, I'm going to do my MediaWiki knowledge graph cities, and there you have other options for cities that you use in your parser function, and things like that. So yeah, this is basically it. What is the outlook? It is not released yet. If you're interested, it is working already. It is just not in a state that we want to release it right now. If you want to try it this Friday already in the hackathon, please write me. I'll be happy to give you access to the repository. You can help us, of course, with testing it, with documentation, with maybe internationalization. We don't have that in yet, really. Also with programming, of course, if you want. I don't know when we will be ready to release it. I will be at the hackathon in Tallinn, Wikimedia Hackathon. So maybe we will work on it there. I don't know yet. At the latest, I can promise that at the MWCon Fall 2024, which I will talk a little bit about tomorrow. So that was it. Thank you very much. I cannot see any chat and I cannot hear anyone. So I will go over to the YouTube channel. I don't know if you have questions.
Awesome. Do you have any questions from the room for me?
Too many questions.
So not a question, but just a compliment. The ability to visualize the graph data in the back end of these MediaWiki Plus systems, it never shows up as a requirement for any project, but it goes so far in the ability to communicate that what we're actually doing is next level. And so we have these PowerPoints where we show examples of sample ontologies, simple things, but to actually be able to graphically view the real, the local wiki data as a graph visually is, it can't be overstated how valuable that is. And thank you so much for putting these tools together.
You're welcome. The only reason actually we did it is because we wanted to make your life easier, and so because you're drawing knowledge graphs with PowerPoint, and now you can have it automatically.
I just have a use case to share with you, Bernhard. I will back up what was just said. In clinical trials, the FDA is looking to solve the following problem. There's inclusion criteria and exclusion criteria that would put someone into a trial or keep them out. They have lists and lists of inclusion and exclusion. They're not quite sure which of the criteria in each category limits or expands the number of people who would get access to that trial. It is not straightforward to do it by taking something out, meaning if we were able to visualize removing one criteria and seeing how large the acceptance cohort becomes, it is a very much browsing activity. And I think, to back up my colleague here, Chris, this tool would make optimizing the inclusion and exclusion criteria much easier. So I wanted to compliment you and put a use case in your head. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions from?
I think there was one in chat from Jeffrey.
There's one in chat.
And the YouTube chat.
Oh yeah, I already answered it. Yes, if you knew and if you modeled that Hedy Lamarr is also an American engineer, then you would get it. Yeah.
Request, Bernhard. You showed a screenshot from a website that provides presumably on-demand visual graphs of Wikipedia articles. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. The link down there is it's not easy to glean from the projector screen. Can you drop that into the chat somewhere?
Sure.
White. Another color, move it somewhere.
Yeah, if you copy into the meeting chat, I can copy that onto the YouTube chat if that would help.
Yeah, just
And I will also share the link to my presentation so you can click on that.
I, for one, am very happy to see more visual solutions as someone who is involved in Wiki, which unfortunately is no longer maintained. But yeah, it's wonderful to see other options taking over. So thank you. Awesome. Thank you.